how's a guy that's been married nearly for 30 years write a book about how to be an alpha male and rational male?
Well, first off, I think you need to define what is an alpha male,
Okay.
what is a beta male. When I talk about alpha or beta, I'm talking about it in terms like abstract terms. So it's not like the comparison isn't we're like silverback gorillas or wolves on the Arctic tundra or something like that. It's a placeholder term. It's an abstraction. So to say there are guys who are of a higher class or of a higher value than there are of guys who are just sort of run the mill guys, average men right now. So when you say something like alpha or beta, people want to turn it into sort of like scientific terms, like etymological terms, right? They want to say, well, you guys are just comparing yourselves to gorillas or something like that. It has nothing to do with it whatsoever. So defining what that is, the book is not necessarily meant to say, okay, here's how you be an alpha male kind of thing. What my work has done over the course of the last 20 years now has been to explore intersexual dynamics. As a part of that, yes, male nature is a part of that, female nature is a part of that. And how do those two natures play on each other? And how do they do that from a micro level to a macro level? So all the way down to what is it that makes a guy attractive? What is it that makes a woman attractive? And then from that point forward, it's how do they come together? How do they have sex? How do they form families? And from those families, how do they form tribes? From those tribes, how do they form nations? And on and on and on. But you have to go all the way back and sort of distill it down to the intersexual dynamics between men and women. And that's what I attempted to do in the first book. And then I've got 3 other books since then that are supplements to the first book.
Rollo, before you became this rational male, like you guys were kind of doing a community college competition over here. Who had a better community college upbringing in Pasadena?
Pasadena, PCC,
you guys
represent.
almost became the blows. But was this? Did you go to school for this? Did you learn, on the go? Were you out? Were you a party guy?
Well,
like as Pat always asks, like who were you in high school? Like, did you have a situation that happened? You're like a girl broke your heart. You're like that's never gonna happen again.
Everyone.
How did this happen?
Okay, so this is standard. This is standard question
Clearly.
101.
Bring us up to speed,
okay.
bro.
So first thing is I've been married for 25 years as of July of last year.
Mazel tov.
So thank you. And so people always ask me that, how did you come into this, situation? Did somebody break your heart? Was there some point like, well, how did you get red pilled kind of thing? And it was more like a slow process, not necessarily some sort of, breakup or anything, there's no catalyst to, this is going to make this my life's mission. It wasn't about that. It was just curiosity for a very long time. I grew up, as I said, in Southern California. I was part of, the late 80s, early 90s, metal scene that was going on in Hollywood at the time.
Yeah,
thanks. Yeah. And so from there, I kind of got my act together after a while. I've been through bad breakups just like anybody else has, but that was not necessarily the catalyst for me to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I have had a very, unique set of circumstances over the course of my life. So going from that situation from Southern California, just sort of being a kid, really in my 20s, wanting to have a good time, wanting to party, wanting to get, it certainly wasn't about the money back then. It was more about getting laid. So that was my impetus at that point. And then, of course, you mature, you get a little bit older. I met my wife in Lake Tahoe area. And so from that point, you have kids and you sort of, reassess where it is and what you want to do and set goals for yourself and, sort of mature. I'm Generation X, so maybe that had something to do with it as well. But it's
real
primarily
quick, we have a lot of listeners. They're what, 18 to 40, give or take, for the most part. Some are single, some are getting out of college, some are in relationships, some are married. What's the outcome of this conversation? Just so we're all on the same page. Is it to expose what's really going on out there? Are you going to drop some knowledge? Hey, this is what you guys got to do to improve your life. Where are we going? Just so we can set the tone of this entire conversation.
So if there is a purpose or a point to my writing, it is to educate.
Okay.
It is to educate guys, to give them the tools so that they can make informed decisions when it comes to their personal life, first and foremost. And second of all, from that point, where do you go from there? How do you change your life? I am not in the business of making men better men. I am in the business of giving men the tools so that they can make themselves better men. I'm in the business of not prescriptions, but descriptions. And so what happens is then people will take those, guys will take those and better their lives, save their own lives in many instances as well. And then it's not just about getting laid. A lot of people want to mischaracterize what it is that I do and say, well, it's just those pickup artists. It's just those, we're talking about pickup artists in 2022. about pickup artists that were in the scene back in 2002. So we're talking about 20 years. The game, by the way, was published in 2005. Yeah. All the events in there took place between, like, say, 2002 and 2004. So
fair to say the game has changed.
Very much so. Okay. And I think we want to run back to that when we want to mischaracterize, when we want to just dismiss and ridicule all of that. But it has matured to the point where it used to be just about PUA and, like, how do I get laid? Guys come together on forums. They start comparing notes. It's sort of this aggregate of information between guys all over the world.
Scientific approach.
Well, it was the first time in history where we had the internet, where guys could get together and sort of compare notes all over the world. And from that point, it snowballed from there into how do I live a better life? How do I find, if that's what they wanted to do, how do I find a girlfriend? It's not all about notch count. A lot of guys use the red pill just so they can get a girlfriend in the first place, or go from being a quote unquote perma virgin to getting a girlfriend, or getting into a situation where they're in a relationship at that point. So it's all about what you do with it, rather than, okay, well, this is the point, this is the importance of it. It doesn't have any particular point to it. It's a praxeology, not an ideology.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.